Hi, my name's Jerry Dorris, and this is Tanner Cartwright, and this is Snake on the Table. Brother, what's the snake?
Tonight, the snake is, are young marriages a good thing?
Our young marriage is a good thing. Yep. End of show.
So I think I would say they can be.
It depends.
Yes, it definitely depends, but they can be.
I would advocate for younger marriages. I think younger marriages, what do we mean by that? 18, 19, 20?
Well, see, that becomes the question. I had a great-great-grandmother that got married at 13.
Yeah, that's that's not good.
A little young.
That's a little young for me.
But the question becomes, what's our standard on
But that was a different culture,
Sure.
different time frame.
Yeah, it was probably
all that kind
because her dad probably couldn't feed her.
Yeah.
So there was.
So I'm going to say this. I say in general, the younger you can get married, the better. But
to a point.
To a point, I would say 18. But in my thoughts behind that would be if you're ready.
For sure, of course.
If you're ready. I don't not just get married because you love each other and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of adolescents. Young men that are growing I just want them to mature as fast as they can and get past that. And so to have jobs, be making money, have vision for where they're going to go.
Yep.
If that includes college, go for it. But be working, and so if a young man is applying himself younger, like 14, 15, 16, 17, he's doing those years. He can have money saved up. He can be, if he's not just wasting his life on vain pursuits, which is what our culture encourages. Through gaming and different things like that. And so they lose focus on that. He can be ready.
Oh, yeah.
But in our culture, 18-year-olds are typically not ready.
No one is rushing their children towards manhood anymore.
Right.
Or adulthood for our girls,
for
womanhood.
Yeah.
No one's rushing their children there. I remember one time I started working full-time at my mother's not going to let me saying that, but I started working full-time at 14.
Yeah.
And we were homeschooled, and so I did homeschool in the evenings and weekends and whenever I could, and she was on me a lot about it. But I started working young, and I remember one time, 16, I was working for a landscaping company, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I remember this older gentleman saying, "Son, you're a man before your time." Of course, it made me feel good. A young man likes to hear that kind of thing. But I remember thinking about that. I've thought about that over the years, and I think that my father was intentionally rushing us towards manhood, and I didn't know it. I didn't see it, but he was, and he was encouraging those things in us at a young age that he wanted to see in an adult.
Right.
And so, we did all the things. We farmed. I remember tilling a garden when I had to hold the tiller like this above my head, right? And just things like that he just do it,
get it done,
get it figured out, And so I grew up like that. And so I think that, that's one of the things that we've lost in our culture and that we're missing is rushing.
They gave you your work ethic.
Yeah, my dad. And my dad gave me my work ethic mainly by seeing his work ethic.
Right.
And so that's another topic altogether, just how masculinity is so much of it is caught, not taught. You see Michael Foster talk about this, and it's good to be a man. But young marriage becomes a problem when we're not rushing children towards adulthood.
Yeah.
So when we've got children that all of a sudden are still children at 18, you've got a problem. No longer, young marriages aren't possible.
Right.
And so now you see, I think the average marriage is like 27, 28.
How old were you when you and Laura got married?
I was 22.
Okay.
I was 22, had my first child at 23.
Yeah.
And to be frank, I think may have been the oldest of my brothers to get married.
They've all been
young.
I got married when I was 21. Both Michelle and I were 21 when we got married. But we had met each other in Bible college when we were 18.
Yes.
And then soon after was courting.
Yes.
And my dad would not let us get married, although we wanted to.
Yep.
He made me wait for 2 years.
Finish school or something?
Well, no. So I was going to the mission field.
Okay.
We were going overseas, and and he just thought we were too young, and so I honored him, and we waited.
Sovereignty of God, man.
Bro, that was hard. That was very difficult to wait that long.
I had a similar thing with Laura.
Yeah, I do not encourage long engagements at all because you will burn.
Yeah.
But by God's grace, we made it through that.
Yes.
And so we got married when we were 21, and so now I'm almost 55.
Yep.
And so we've been married for 34 years. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've got a brother that's married at 19, one married at 18, and they're doing well.
Yeah.
And so, but it is, it's hard if you're not rushing men towards adulthood. I think so. There used to be and this may take us down a rabbit hole, maybe not, but there used to be a thing that you saw regularly where it was a man in his mid-20s marrying someone 18. Mm-hmm. Or around that age, marrying a young woman.
Yeah.
Because he was well established.
Right.
He had his career. It was before feminism wrecked everything.
Yeah.
Women weren't pursuing their career. They were pursuing being a wife and a mother and a helpmeet. And you saw men marrying the men were established. And I have good friends who've done this, and it's actually, I think it works very well for the man to, mid-20s. I mean, they live longer than us anyway. But for an older man who's well established, knows what he's doing, got his business in order, and everything's in order, and to marry a younger woman, I think it works well. So
it can, but when you get into your 70s and 80s, and you're, that old guy, he's gonna die, and she's gonna live another 20 years because she often lives longer.
Sure. So it's when
I get it. It happens, and I'm not
talking about.
Few years.
I don't think we should have such a... We think that an 18-year-old should marry an 18-year-old. We've kind of got that cultural feel. I don't know that that's necessarily right.
I think it's maybe better for a younger man who's ready, then he has a pick. If he's ready.
Men who are hitting it always have a pick.
If he's hitting it, meaning he's got a great work ethic,
that's going to come across as very offensive.
He's got money in the bank, he's got vision, he's confident. That guy is going to have his pick.
He's got his pick.
From the 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds even that are coming. He could wait a year if he wanted. He can go all the way up to 24, 25.
Yep.
And those girls are still going to look at him because he's got gravitas.
Yep.
So what are the three, I'm going to put you on the spot, what are the three purposes of marriage?
So the three purposes of marriage biblically are procreation, children.
That's the last one.
Whatever, but it's one of them. Yeah. You didn't ask me to give it a certain
order.
Okay. Children, from a legitimate issue, as the 1689 would say. So legitimate children, not having bastard children, but having legitimate children. Mutual help. And the preventing of uncleanness.
Yeah, so the mutual help, so Wilson calls that companionship.
Yeah, sure.
So just companionship.
Yes.
I think it's not good for man to be alone.
Yep.
We need to have a helper.
But specifically a helper.
Yeah, you have somebody that is not competing with you, we'll get into what a man should look like.
Well, and
for a woman.
This becomes very clear to me when my wife, we're both from Tennessee, and occasionally she'll go see her folks. And I'll be at home. It hasn't happened much, but I remember one time specifically, I was at home by myself for about a week, and dude, I was very inefficient. Like I had to do everything, and it was just the meals and the house and the clothes and everything. I had to do everything, and so it was. I wasn't as efficient as I am on just a normal week with my wife helping me.
Yeah,
she makes me so much more productive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a woman just multiplies
exponentially.
She makes the strength of a man stronger.
Yes, and she makes me want to work harder too.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. But those are the three purposes for marriage. Those are the purposes that the 1689 lay out. I'm not sure what the Westminster says. I'm sure it's probably the same.
So I think most guys, they're thinking about the sexual protection. They want to have sex.
Sure.
And so that's driving them. They have a lot of energy that way. But as a guy, you're looking for more than just sex. You're looking for someone who is a true helpmate to you. and isn't going to hold you back, is going to submit to your leadership, going to follow after you.
If that's all you're looking for, there's no purpose in getting married.
But I think it's possible for an 18-year-old to be ready in that he's got the mindset and he knows the kind of wife he's looking for. He's on a mission. He's ready.
It is, but he needs to be hitting it in all the right ways at 14.
Yes.
If that's the case.
Yeah.
So a young man who is 14.
So let's skip the whole adolescence.
Forget it. Yeah.
Work.
The scripture says when I was a child, I thought like a child. And I get the context of that in Paul in Corinthians 13 and whatnot. But the reality is the scripture doesn't lay out this period of adolescence and teenager, whatever. Yeah. You're a child and you're a man.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
So that's the way we should be treating our boys especially.
Yeah. We
should just be rushing them to adulthood. And I would argue, I've got 4 daughters, I would argue we should be rushing our daughters to womanhood.
Yeah.
And not so much that they don't have a childhood at all, but there comes a point where a young woman is a child and she becomes a woman. Yeah. And so, my oldest daughter, she can make bread by herself.
Oh, I'm watching it.
She can make cornbread.
Yeah.
I remember a month or two ago, occasionally on a Saturday, me and my wife will just decide we're going to sleep in. And we don't do it much, but sometimes we'll just, sleep and then wake up and just lay in bed and talk, for an hour or two or whatever, just because.
Yeah.
And I remember my 8-year-old and my second daughter, Maranatha, I could hear her. She's our early riser. She's our early bird. And she got up, and I could hear her in there doing stuff. I didn't know what she was doing. Next thing I know, breakfast was ready. I don't mean she got up and fixed herself cereal. She got up and fixed the whole family, eggs and toast, and she had milk poured out for people. And it was just like everything. It's like
you guys are laying there with tears going down your eyes.
I was like, I'm sitting there talking to my wife, and I'm like, we've arrived. Like, how did this happen? So, but that's what we need to be intentional about rushing our children towards adults. So when I say that, I want a young 12, 14-year-old girl to be able to keep a house.
Yeah.
To be able to run a home, to be able to know about groceries and finance and cleaning the house and keeping a home and keeping it organized and having her life ordered and so that she at 18 will be able to be someone's helpmeet.
Yeah.
Not a burden, but a helper.
Yeah.
And so I think, we've raised a lot of young boys and young girls to be burdens to their future spouses.
Yeah.
We've raised young boys so that they are not leaders. They're not hitting it. They're not driven.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that attribute to that, but we don't teach godly ambition anymore.
Right.
And so.
All right. So companionship, sexual protection.
Yep.
That's going to solve itself. And then that third one is procreation. And I would argue that if you're a young family, that's why I think it's good. It's good because that's your childbearing years. That's the strength. So something that we stress at Ref Church, and I hope you hear it more often than not, is that children are wealth.
Yep. And
they're not burdens. They're not financial liabilities. They are wealth.
Yep.
And so therefore, if you're going to build wealth as a man and as a household, you should have children. You should be pursuing children. So we're challenging young ladies, don't do birth control. Don't do it because you don't want to muck up your body before you get married. And then as a young couple, we encourage you to have as many children as you can. Because that's wealth. That's going to be a blessing to them. Your dad, how many grandchildren does your dad have?
My dad has 20 on the ground. So my brother just had his 7th yesterday. My 7th's on the way.
Yeah.
Be born in January.
Yeah.
We were talking today because I've got the tiebreaker. He's got 10 boys and 10 girls, and we don't know what mine is yet.
Yeah.
But that's the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So 21 total.
Right, and so because Ricky and Judith Ann got married young, they are able to see all these grandchildren, and these grandchildren are able to see their grandfather in his strength.
Yeah, and my dad would say now he wished he'd had more because they got married with the mindset of we just won't have kids. They were dinks before it was cool.
Yeah.
And so, and he would say all these things. I'm not saying anything that that he wouldn't say, but they waited 4 years, and so then anyway, he and my mom both would say, yeah, they wish they'd have just started having kids.
Yeah.
And so in fact, I don't know of anyone. I'll say this: you will never regret having children. Never.
100%.
What you will regret is avoiding children and not having children.
Yeah.
You'll avoid that. I remember very vividly talking to a customer one time, and I think I had 5 at the time, 5 children. And we were just talking about kids and this, that, and the other. And the husband and wife were sitting there, and the wife said, they had 3. And she said, "Oh, but I wish we had started sooner and had more."
Yeah.
And it just, it wasn't necessarily regret, but it kind of was. It was just kind of like they were just so happy for me, and just that reality of like, man, I wish we'd have had more kids.
Yeah.
You'll never regret having children.
Amen.
Never.
I agree.
If you have 14, you won't regret it. And so, and that would be that's a good snake on the table, birth control and how many kids should you have.
Well, we have some of those questions. One of the questions we've got coming up is it okay, is it biblical for a couple to not want to have children?
Yeah. Shoot, that's a heck of a snake.
Freaking just hear the rattle on that.
20-foot python.
Yeah.
Burmese python.
Burmese python.
So.
All right. Marry young, but be ready to be married young. And you don't know this, but I just got a text from a young man that a lady in our church that we both know. She sees me as a father, and so she had met a young man, and she wanted him to contact me, and so I'm gonna vet that guy. This guy is not. I can already tell he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
Yeah.
You're not hitting it. You're not doing what is necessary right now. So anybody who's listening to this, if you want to know what hitting it means, we will have future episodes.
Yeah,
on
the
that
one
topic.
on what does masculinity look like. That we can hit that, but I think that we've got a real problem because we've got a lot of young ladies that want to get married that are hitting it as young ladies, and they just where are the guys at?
Yeah.
And frankly, I think we have the opposite problem too with the guys. I mean, just because I'm not famous online or anything, but I've got enough of a social media presence that I regularly get messages from young guys that they're like, I want to get married. I don't know what to do. I can't find a quality young lady. Yeah. And so I think that more than anything, should you marry young, I think the question becomes, how should you be rushing your children towards adulthood? Yeah. And so that we've got to change the culture of that.
On that issue, we had some ladies from Ref Church participate in a singles mixer here recently, just to meet some people.
A reformed singles mixer.
Well, I won't say too much.
Sure.
But they came back in their general assessment, and they were laughing about it. It's like that was a low T event right there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Guys sitting in the corner, not taking initiative, not, there's just a confidence that comes when you kind of know who you are as a man and you're in a position. Well, and a lot of these kids, they're just boys.
There's a lot that goes into this, brother, as far as, we could, we keep saying this, another good snake, but another good snake would be the dropping T levels of men.
Bro.
So, and what causes that and how to get your T levels up. But it's a big deal.
So I think one of the primary ways that people can get men can have their T levels increase is by watching Snake on the Table.
Guaranteed to up your T. Guaranteed.
All right.
Become a Patreon.
If you have a question for us, snakeonthetable@gmail.com, and we'd love to interact with you.
Yes.
On that.
Love to. I'm on Twitter, Cartwright Cortez. You're on Twitter.
Yep, Jerry
That's
Dorris.
the easiest way to contact me. All right, God bless.